AI Picks Podcast, episode something. How's it going, everyone? I'm
Hey,
Dave.
what's
With
up?
me, as always, is Barrett and Carrie. How you doing, gentlemen?
What's up?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing good, yeah. What's up is, not much. Wait, I'm going to figure out what episode this is. Stand by. Did you figure it out yet, Carrie?
Oh, I thought we had given up.
Are we giving up? Are we giving up?
I thought we gave up on it. Oh, let me see.
Episode 6. Hey,
Episode
we made it to
6.
episode 6.
Lucky
Pretty
number 6,
exciting.
guys.
Yeah.
94 away from 100. Countdown begins
94
now.
till 100, and
Countdown begins now.
We've done it before. We're gonna.
We've done it
again.
once. We could do it again. Yeah.
So a lot of feedback on the last show. A lot of feedback. Three.
Dude, that was better, right?
That was better.
It
was
had
good
more
feedback.
views.
Yeah.
The comments
Yeah.
were really strong. I
Yeah.
appreciate the good commenters. Yeah.
My leg said, "Good episode, guys."
Yeah, thank you, my leg.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
And then,
yes.
and also, hello, leg.
Hello.
And then Curtis Gillen said, "That thing is hilarious." I think they're talking about the
Yeah.
eye thing. The eye thing.
Ah, the
maybe?
eye
The
thing.
eye tracker. That's my guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Must be.
I'm
yeah.
thinking it probably was all the murder from that episode. That was hilarious.
Hilarious. And then Flipping Lost Treasure, I was so confused almost till the end. I didn't remember last episode's pick, and I see Hunger Games theme, so I assumed we'd be discussing it. Not until the third portion did get talked about. Once it was over, I see you discuss the 3 movies in the title. I went back to the beginning to hear you did mention the title Killers first among the classics talking over each other. I missed it, and my frustration was for nothing as I fully read the title. I don't remember
Dave,
what the title
the
was.
frustration that you cause.
What, the Hunger
Sure.
Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snake movie review, and what else did I
The
call
Killers.
it?
The Killers.
And the
I
Killers.
think- I love that because we talked like mostly about the Killers, and then we did get off on a nice little tangent about
The
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
It's
Listen,
our
I
first.
thought-
It's our first podcast that didn't go down in views. It went. We're going back up now.
Yeah, see, I thought that, talking about a more current movie, we got a 1.7 click-through, which is horrible. Absolutely horrible.
We need to think
Points.
in relative terms, though.
Yeah,
You know, how did
relatively,
it
it's up. It's up 0.7.
There we go.
Yes,
Yeah, we're
relative-
up.
yes, look at that, guys. We're
Yep.
going back the right way. I
Anyway.
love it. It's like we're Siskel, Ebert, and I guess I'm Ropert. Is that the other guy? The
Yeah.
one that replaced him?
yeah.
I think that's
right,
who we
right.
are, basically.
So here's the deal. We had a new movie chosen by ChatGPT, and it chose Grand Budapest Hotel. Do you say it like
Budapest,
that? Or
yeah.
Budapest?
Budapest is a city. It's 2 cities. Like, I guess there's a river down the middle, I believe, and one side is
I
Buda
think
and
that
one
is
side is
right.
Pest. I believe is what
Is
it's.
it in
I think.
Europe?
It is in Europe. Yeah.
Okay.
It's in
So-
Hungary.
Hungry.
Carrie,
Yeah.
how would you describe this film? Let's get the Carrie synopsis.
Wes
What is
Anderson
it?
doing Wes Anderson stuff. It's visually stunning, comical, weird, odd, off-putting, and beautiful.
It is.
And it, yeah.
I
I mean, like,
finally, I cracked the code, guys. I've
What
always
is it?
wondered why I struggle with Wes Anderson movies, and I think I finally figured it out. Because here's why I figured it out on this one. Because this one, it's like a storyline, etc., that I would actually get into, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
a straight line. They're telling a story. It's something I'd probably watch, if it was in a casino with, a bunch of crazy guys, Ocean 11 style, right? Like, it's a story. It's an interesting story, but I finally figured it out. I struggle with Wes Anderson because he's quirky for the sake of being quirky. And it drives me nuts.
That is, yeah.
You just don't vibe with
I don't
that
vibe with quirk.
type
Yeah,
of
yeah.
quirk. Or
He is-
maybe even that specific kind of quirk you might
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
And that's
Which
what
is
it is.
fair.
It's like this
Everyone
intentional
just
quirkiness.
is allowed to
like-
have.
Yeah, and it's like the aesthetics. I don't like them. The he always has. I thought this was the best Wes Anderson film I've seen. Let me start there.
Okay.
I enjoyed this more than any other Wes Anderson film I've ever seen.
Well, that's good. It was for those reasons, like you mentioned, it being kind of
it had
a
a story.
a story.
It had a story.
Yeah,
I could
you
follow it. There
Yeah.
was a beginning, a middle, and an end. The characters, while mostly unlikable, were interesting. I liked the lobby boy. I will say I liked
Yeah.
the lobby boy. I thought he was a likable character, but he always does this thing where like the actors are intentionally like overacting.
Oh,
like
yeah.
where they're like, like it's such a ridiculous
It's kinda-
level that it's like
he's
it takes me
like
out of the
a-
experience.
He's like a less dark Tim Burton. Like the second you see 3 seconds of anything he does, you know it's Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
undeniable.
it's instantly
The framing,
recognizable.
whatever, the flash zooms he constantly does over and over again. I mean, there's so many things that are very particularly him that I really dug. The theater kid in me, being a theater kid, really enjoyed that aspect of
I was
it.
just about to say, yeah, the theater aspect. I mean, that is kind of the like loud kind of acting.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is
stuff.
very
It's
much
sort
so.
of fits with that. Yeah, I
It
agree.
reminded
It's like
me-
it's almost the culmination of the most Wes Anderson-y bits of of his work. Like it really is. You know, to look at is pretty incredible. I mean, the sets are crazy.
Oh yeah.
And the little vignettes in between where you get the two-dimensional little trolley going up and down the thing. It's
Yeah,
sort of
there's
like,
so many cool, quirky things. Like when you're seeing them go up over like this, you know, they're what was it, the ski jumps or whatever, and then but it was like above, and it was
So
like
fast.
so. Yeah,
Right. I mean,
it was
it's
like
a ga- it
quirky
is
and
a
weird and
gag.
fake, but still funny. Like I mean, it's
Right.
humorous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like meant to show like Willem Dafoe's character, I guess, just being like outrageously capable or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Murking
I
everybody.
guess.
Yeah, murking everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, it's, okay, so it's. I liked the scene. Okay, the escape scene. Can we talk about the prison escape? So they escape
Yeah.
from prison, and the whole escape from prison, I was struggling because it went on for a very long time. But it had like this really fun moment where they like open up a trap door and there's like 5 bad guys.
I knew you were
below
gonna-
them. One guy jumps down. And he looked down again and just everyone's dead. And he's like, I guess we call that a draw? Like, that made me LOL.
Yeah.
That was
that's
like a
their
really,
one like Tarantino part of
yeah,
the
it was a really
the
good
movie.
moment.
Yeah.
It was a really good moment for me. Like, that
There's-
moment kind of...
Yeah, that was a really good surprise. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. That
there's
sticks
never-
in my mind too.
There's never a breather from his aesthetic either, because I feel like that could have been a classic action scene, right? Like he plops down, you see him look around, he just does all the ninja stuff. You see none of it. You just see the guys peering down in a very Wes Anderson shot, you know, like all together
Right.
over. It was more about their reaction to it than the actual physical action of murdering all these dudes.
Totally.
It's that's what I think is really. I don't even know how to put my finger on
Well,
the
he
feeling
makes-
that it
he
gives, but
makes-
it's very interesting. I dig it.
He makes,
Yeah, it's specific.
He makes,
Yeah.
He makes much ado about nothing and no ado about something.
Yeah, there
know,
you
like-
go. That's perfect. That's a
Like,
perfect way.
the guy's fingers get chopped off, it's nothing. No big deal.
Yep.
The new piece of art is like hardcore adult content. No one even cares or notices, right? But then something tiny happens and it's a huge deal, and you're just like, wait, what is all back?
That is-
the reaction.
That's really good. That's a really good synopsis, honestly, of like this movie is like much ado about like the nothing stuff
And
he
no
makes
ado about
large,
something.
and then the big giant things, death and all that, and no biggie. It's
No
weird,
biggie.
yeah.
No biggie that
Yeah,
guy's fingers all
yeah.
just fell off. Literally.
Subverting expectations constantly.
They got decapitated, didn't show it at all. Like, just someone's decapitated, right?
Just
Like,
happens.
just all these big moments are underplayed, and then all these dumb moments are overplayed.
Well, even
Like,
think about
Yeah.
think about the deaths of which we're going to do some spoilers in this. If you guys
That's
haven't
what we
seen
did.
it, it came out 10 years ago. So get on top of it, guys. Like the two maybe biggest characters outside of the lobby boy, you know, the girl that he ends up marrying, and you know the guy who runs the hotel, Ray Fiennes. That's what I thought of his name the whole time. They both die. You know, and they basically just mention it, passing.
They just mentioned it.
They just mention it
Right.
like it happened. No biggie. Well, it was a biggie, but like it wasn't like they could have really
Yeah,
milked
not like
those
an
moments.
emotionally impactful kind of moment as you'd
That's
expect
it,
it to
yeah.
be.
yeah, like
Yeah.
They take
The-
away the emotional impact of big moments, where you're like
Yeah.
expecting to be hurt or have a feeling. But see, that I think is part of what bothers me, because I like, and Barrett, you know this about me, I like getting lost in the emotion of a film. And I feel like it gets robbed in these because they're so like, they don't let you have feelings like
I like getting lost in the intent of the filmmaker, like,
Yeah.
or at least his playing with my expectations, or I guess really I want to know what Wes Anderson thinks is interesting about this scene, and
Yeah.
that we get that, you know,
Yeah.
the camera focuses on what
think-
he finds interesting about the scene. Like I may like agree with you in some ways, Dave, like aesthetically, like it's not like I have posters all over my, walls that look like this or whatever. But at the same time, like, I like very much appreciate it, of course.
I appreciate his commitment to it, right? Like, this
sure,
is him,
yeah.
and this is, like, who he is, and he does not shy away from that, and he's successful despite the fact that it may not be for everyone, right?
In a world where everything is homogenized and it seems like 95% of directors are interchangeable, you could put the same, any director in a Star Wars movie and it's always going to be just, lasers and lightsabers and there's going to be Yoda talking gibberish or whatever, right? Every time.
I guess like when you can tell it's usually not the director's fault. It's like directed by, a conglomeration.
Oh yeah,
people,
no, they're not allowed to be creative. I understand that.
Exactly,
they're not. They have to stay within the confines of what they're paid to make, basically. But it's nice to see that there's still a few people like Tarantino or Tim Burton out there, whether you like them or not, that can make, and they're, to some degree, Nolan, Fincher, all of them do this. They have stuff that makes them undeniably them, and if you dig it, you're gonna have a treat. That's for sure.
Well, so I had
agreed.
this weird thing happen, and maybe there should be a scientific study, or maybe it was just a coincidence. But I have pretty bad ADHD, and I actually had to turn this off about halfway in the first night I tried to watch it because I got overstimulated. And so I can get like overstimulated if there's like just too much coming at me, to a point where like I can't focus, my brain is like spinning and stuff like that. I don't know what happened, but like when I first tried to watch this, it overwhelmed me. I got about halfway in and I said I need to take a break, and I had to come back and finish it the next day, which is...
Do you remember like at what part?
It was like right after the cat got thrown out the window.
That was funny.
That was funny.
Yeah.
But that didn't bother me. I don't know. I just think visually it was like over
like chaotic
my
kind of.
brain and chaotic, because it is a bit chaotic what's happening.
In that part in particular, I would agree. There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
You could tell by watching this.
At that point.
He doesn't take anything. Every frame is meticulously broken down in his movies. I could imagine
like
for
he's
hours.
got to be OCD.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, oh yeah, every moment. Yeah, because it's just pan, swoop, zoom in, zoom out, just like weird. I'm going to be on this side of the screen, and everything's going to be very, very asymmetrical on the other side, and I'm going to be on this side of the screen.
Right.
Everything is very particular, and I can
But
see how that
cool,
can be very
the fact that,
overstimulating.
like almost every frame is like a painting kind of thing. Like it's almost maybe
100%.
how he could tell his like art department, how to how to look at it.
I think that's a good way to put it. Every frame for him is like a painting. Like you could screen capture, you could just pause any point in this or any
Right.
Wes Anderson movie, and
it's
I
a
would say
wallpaper for your
artistically, yeah, it would be wallpaper for it would be compelling artistically. Whether you think it's stupid or not, it would be artistically compelling. There would be the laws of threes. Everything would be symmetrical or whatever he's trying to show. Everything's
Right. And how many
done
films
with
can
a
be
ton of intention.
how many movies can be said of that? It's like that's not
many.
exactly a widespread trait.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think that I appreciate what he does. I do. I appreciate it. I understand this.
I don't think you're coming across as
Yeah.
hateful. You just
It's
I
not
feel
my
a
flavor
strong
of
hate,
taste.
Dave, from you, just for the record. I want to be on the record as I feel
that's
that.
That's fair. No, it's just not. It's not the kind of thing I want to be in. It's.
You
it's
want
fine, but it's not-
Bumblebee killing aliens and then turning into a car afterwards. That's what you want.
There's a lot of moments, and I don't know how he pulls this off. Bear, maybe you can explain it. But there's a lot of moments where I feel like I'm watching Toys or like Thomas the Train videos. You know what I'm saying? Like where it almost looks like, okay, he's using a 3D model, like an actual model, like they did in Star Wars back in the 70s, and this was just a train being pushed across a table.
Yeah, I think that's often
Is
like
he doing
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
there is a
real
train scene
stuff.
specifically.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's CG elements in there too. I haven't done my research on how all the behind the scenes stuff, how it was done. But I think generally he sticks to the real, miniatures and things like that, as opposed to going the computer generated route in general. Yeah.
Okay. So On the world of Wes Anderson, Barrett, where does this rank for you? Is this one of your least favorite, most favorite? What do you
Really high, yeah. I mean, I guess like what I was saying before, I didn't need to preface that I do like it a lot. It probably is like my favorite or one of the top ones. I guess I like The Life Aquatic a lot, and Zazoo.
Steve Zazoo.
Yeah.
But I've seen parts of it because I worked at the movie theater when it came out, and I used to have to clean it up and yell at kids. So
I remember when you worked at yeah, talking about that. Yeah, it's up there. But yeah, I mean, you wouldn't like it. I don't think, all the same issues would, I guess, apply. I like Moonrise Kingdom a lot too.
I mean, okay, so I saw Asteroid City. Did you see that?
I did not see that yet. No.
So I'm the most learned Anderson fan here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most advanced.
10x better for me than Asteroid City. Asteroid City had, as far as I could tell, no story at all. Like, literally, I left and I was like, what did I just watch? Mm-hmm. But this one, at least, like, there was something for me to follow, for me to enjoy. I could watch this again and not be upset that I was watching it again.
Could you imagine?
Be in pain if I had to watch Asteroid City again.
Could you imagine Wes Anderson directing like one of the, how like these murder mystery movies are starting to become popular again, the Agatha Christie ones and the Glass Onion, whatever that one was. Murder mysteries, I feel like Wes Anderson would do amazing, or at least do a really interesting version. Like if you had a compelling kind of like interesting story with plot twists and everything, but built around with all of this accoutrement that he's so
give me Clue. Yeah, Clue. With,
Clue by Wes Anderson would be a trip, dude.
Yeah, right. Dang, that would be good. Although the Clue that exists now, it must be said, is very good.
Oh, I've not seen it.
Oh, really, man?
Is it a show or a movie?
It's a movie. Tim Curry, yeah, he's definitely
is it in theaters or it's out?
Amazing.
It's been out since the 80s.
It's been out for a long time, yeah.
You're talking about an old movie. I thought you meant they made like a new one or something. I got you.
No. But yeah, Wes Anderson version of that would be really cool.
What do you think about the playing with the aspect ratios that he does? Like, what is the point of that? I don't know if you noticed, but it's constantly.
I think it's just to create moods and. Yeah. I think it was a timing, or is it a timeline thing? In this case, like, the modern day is like the widescreen. I think it's just kind of, I mean, I don't think that he would have to give you a reason for that. I think it's just more like, I like the way it feels or whatever. And I think that's like a totally legitimate kind of
he did this thing at the beginning where it like was it shows you set your screen to 16 by 9. Like, it was a point that he made at the beginning to show you, make sure it's on 16 by 9, but then he like instantly pops you into 4 by 3, and I'm like, wait, what?
Right.
It's like just almost a troll in a sense to the viewer.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of a troll, and but it also does ensure that you're going to see every aspect ratio, properly.
Shows, so I didn't, Carrie, you're more of the history guy in the house. Like, it seemed like they were tying this around real current affairs, or was it not?
They were loosely basing it off of being in Eastern Europe during the 1930s. Like, I mean,
like this occupation.
Adrian Brody character was very, Gestapo-esque, very, like German. Very Nazi.
Yeah, very clear, like indicators.
Yeah, I mean, like the symbols on his sleeve and on the banners were very, very close. Honestly, the costumes, everything.
I thought
alluded to
that
a lot.
What it felt like, but I wasn't sure because it was the wrong symbols and stuff. So I was like, maybe.
It was alluding to rather than being like. I mean, I guess they could have straight up just used that, but they were just making it an illusion for whatever artistic reason he decided to do that. But yeah, it was very, very obviously an ode to the Germans and trying to, cross country lines and being asked for your card to prove you were a citizen or you were whatever they did back then that they were approving of. And if not, you would be shot or whatever.
Were they saying that main concierge guy got killed right there at the end when he tried to stand up for the elevator boy? At that that was
I think so.
He was taken outside and
okay.
I mean, I guess that was open for interpretation to a degree.
Underplayed that, yeah.
But I felt like he was taken outside and shot.
Okay.
Like outside of the train would have been my guess. But I mean, it could have been in jail. Who knows?
him dying doesn't have to be important, I would
No,
say,
it doesn't.
you know,
It doesn't. I'm just used to it. I'm just used
sure.
to it. That's all.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who's Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. I liked that actor in this. I can't remember his actor.
Jeff Goldblum?
Jeff Goldblum. Yes, I thought he did a good job.
Ian Malcolm, I love it. You only know him
I
from
only know him as
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park,
Park guy.
apparently.
Yeah. But I thought he did really well. Like he was probably one of my favorite actors who felt like he was really acting. I'm telling you, a lot of the acting feels like it's forcedly bad.
Well, he has, much like Tim Burton, much like Quentin Tarantino, he has a troupe of actors like Jason Schwartzman, that are in everything he does.
Yeah, Owen Wilson.
Pretty much everything he does. I mean, Bill Murray, obviously.
Wilson,
Owen Wilson.
Murray was in there.
Yeah, he's like fancy, a little bit more actory Adam Sandler. He has higher level supporting actors. Adam just has whoever was hanging out with him in '93 in everything.
Well, no, fair. It's okay. So I'm not saying they're bad at acting. I'm saying so. There's this time where we did this Doritos commercial, and I was the talent, right? Me and Elijah were the talent, and I did not act at all. And I went up there and I said something that was so like dry and stale that it felt fake. It felt like, oh, he's trying to be acting. And, you guys taught me how to not feel like that. It feels like they're pretending to act on purpose, in a sense. Like, it almost feels like they're intentionally going for the thing I was trying to overcome.
Yeah. They're at a level where, like, they can act. They can convince you when they want to. And so, like, they can play on top of that expectation as well. I mean, I guess it's just another creative choice.
Yeah, I think the words like affectation, like they're affecting like certain, because like in that era there's a lot of the mid-Atlantic style of speech and everything that was very much popular in movies from that period. I think they were trying to do an ode to that vibe, to that style.
Yeah.
But like if you look at it really, if you break it down, they convey a lot of emotions without you even knowing they're doing it, because Ray Fiennes, those guys are all wonderful actors, Tilda Swinton. But they are overdoing it, which was the style. I mean, I grew up with my dad. He was born in 1939. He watched, a lot of 1950s, 1960s movies. So I grew up watching a lot of those movies with my dad, and I love that over the top. Like I'm acting, it's like a style almost. It's stylistic.
Yeah, and you can tell that was only done in like the 4:3 mode, old stuff. Like in the modern day, it was totally played differently.
Yeah, because you got to remember, like in the history of film, Marlon Brando came in and he started the acting that we consider acting nowadays, right? The Stanislavski approach, where you're in the moment and you're trying to become the character. Before that, it was all about being theatrical.
It was like stage acting,
It was stage acting.
Totally.
And they changed that over time to where acting is meant to, in most cases, for modern days, to be as realistic as possible. But that's not the only style of acting out there, and this is more of a ode to an older time.
So blew my mind with the fact that they were only doing that level of acting during the old time.
Yeah, you're right. When they go back to when he, I didn't notice that either. But when you go back to when he's old and they're having the interview, it's much more realistic.
Real in the moment kind of acting, which is the one I prefer, obviously. But yeah, I didn't notice that.
Subtle.
And I think
look at that.
He's
subtle.
Again,
that guy.
This comes back to me like I like getting lost in a film, and I can't do it with the stage acting. I can't.
Yeah.
Like I just can't feel like I'm immersed. It's a mental thing. Maybe I'd get used to it if I watched more movies like this.
I mean, it's maybe you can almost like equate it with The Killer, because I think I understand, like you and I, about that movie, about how palatable it is. It's just so gosh darn palatable. It's just so easy to get into. Exactly, and it's just got the right sort of setup to do that. And like when you go to those, like go earlier and earlier on, it's hard. It kind of strips away some of those things that have that palatable nature to it. I mean, I would say that I would like to see a movie that is done in sort of the modern day era that they use, that he used at the beginning and the end of the movie. Yeah. Like I like the look of that. I would like to see something play out in that kind of universe too. Maybe more so from an aesthetic point of view. So I might be kind of with you in that way. But again, like I can't help but appreciate everything about the theatrics. So because think about like the shootout, like that was one of my favorite shootouts like ever. That's such an awesome shit. Like stuff popping off everywhere, and there's just I love how they can just then it be about just these little goofy shenanigans, like it, you know, what a crazy scene to be happening or whatever, but then like what you're fixated on is just a couple of characters just bumbling around, like
well, you could play that song like
yeah, exactly, the Benny
and it would
Hill,
work in that
yeah. Yeah, it's totally right,
yeah.
right, and again, that does feel very much of like the era it's trying to convey, and that sort of goofy acting that they're trying to kind of overplay for that. Like,
yeah, my mind's a little blown by that. I mean, so one of my other favorite moments was when he gets out of jail finally, and the elevator boy's sitting there, and he's like, "Let me have this." I didn't get that. Where's the safe house? I couldn't find one. Did you bring the whatever perfume? No, I didn't get it. Like he just literally failed on everything. And then he like goes off on him, and he's like, "Why did you even come here? No one wants your presence here." It's like, well, the war. My dad and my brothers and sisters and mom all got killed by a fire. It's like, oh.
Immediately felt bad.
And then he just completely flipped. Yeah, it was such
all having this discussion, outside when they need to be leaving and not having a discussion right then.
Yeah.
Getting away. Discussing
like
the car while
poetry.
moving.
Yeah, he's doing poetry. And,
mm-hmm. It just shows how important the poetry is to them. I don't know. It's just such a...
Just like that he would, like that he would... You would almost anticipate that guy being, like manipulating the old women and trying to get their money or whatever he was trying to do. But he was actually a poet at heart. That was what was beautiful. Like he was about to die. He was about to be kicked off the ledge, and he's reciting poetry as almost to make it a beautiful moment that was meaningful in some way more than what it actually was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a fascinating character.
Yeah, he is a fascinating character, and I would say I have to say played amazing. I mean, that was like definitely a highlight for me. I feel like you could just kind of let him just act whatever is going on. Like he can just convince me that he's that character.
I loved the character so much because he was such a scoundrel, such a bad dude in so many ways. And every time I was like, this dude's a jerk. Like every time he would do something somewhat redeeming, not super redeeming,
right,
but just a little bit where you're
bring
like,
a bit of humanity back into
you're like, okay,
he
is actually human. Then he would pile up all the things he was doing that was terrible again, and then he would be slightly human again, that you relatable almost. And it was like,
I think he has this, what is it, Sawyer effect from Lost, is really dated now, I guess, but like Jack and Sawyer, where the Jack is the character who's like does good all the time, and he does one bad thing and you hate him. And then Sawyer is a character who does bad all the time and does one good thing and everyone's like, "Oh, Sawyer, yay!" So it's like that kind of. he was
kind of a.
He kind of just he does all this scoundrel stuff, and then that sort of those little glimmer moments kind of like make.
Yeah, it was a masterfully written and acted like anti-hero. Like he was somebody you rooted for, even though like you probably shouldn't.
Like,
root
should
for
I be? Yeah, right.
And it made it was conflicting, but also like endearing. I mean, I felt bad when I heard he died. I'm like, oh man, I was like, I felt a little.
Right.
That was surprising because most of that movie for me, I wasn't like Dave says, like there wasn't there was a story, but it wasn't super engaging to where you could get super attached to anybody. Maybe the lobby boy a little bit, but still it was so the affectation and the way they acted was so over the top that sometimes it was almost like a barrier to really connect with the characters. But that moment I was like, oh man, I'm actually feeling a human emotion, with these people. That was kind of cool. Interesting payoff I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think it was better than I expected. It was significantly less painful than I thought it may be, other than the fact that my brain almost broke the first time I watched it. But I had a tough day that day, like just a very crazy day. So I'm not that surprised that I got overstimulated by the end of the day. I can't fully blame the movie. But I do think, like, if you struggle with Wes Anderson movies, this is the first one I've seen that felt more like a straight line story that I could really just, watch. And
it had that piece. It had that, half of the pie or whatever that you need, like in your. So
I did ask ChatGPT to give us some like talking points about the movie, like what kind of things would people. And I like to see how we did without any help first, and I think we did pretty good. So the Wes Anderson aesthetic is the first one, which we've discussed. That. You take it or leave it. I don't love it, Barrett. I think you do like it. Carrie, where do you
like it? Yeah.
I like it. It is kind of like a sweet treat. It's something you'd have to be in the mood for. You know what I mean? It's not something that I could deal with all the time, but occasionally, if you're feeling,
Occasional snack.
yeah, creative or
Yeah,
something,
good way
or
to put it.
artistic, it's maybe a good one to put on.
All right, so the second thing it said is the narrative structure. Discuss the nested narrative structure with multiple timelines, which we did. We did that too. See, we're good.
Look
we're
at
like
us.
movie pros.
We're
guys,
almost
not even
smarter than
pros.
robots.
Character ensemble, including Ray Fiennes and Tony Revolor, or whoever that is. Zero. Oh,
That's
Zero
the lobby
was
boy,
Tony.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that. Comedic elements, we've talked about that. We're doing good, guys. Okay, so the art direction, cinematography. Okay, this one we didn't talk about. Hotel as a character. Consider the role of the hotel itself as a character in the story. Do you think it is a character?
Oh yeah,
I think it's just one of those
definitely.
cliches. But
Well,
Yeah,
it
it is a little cliche, but it is. I mean, like you could
but
see.
it certainly is true with this
You
movie.
could see from when it changed in time how the layout changed, how the styles were different. Like the 1968 Budapest Hotel was very, I don't know how to explain it. It was very 60s, but not in a cliche way that we look back in film now, where it's like all, this certain like, I don't know, summer of love aesthetic or whatever. It was very green, like. Me and you, Dave, we do a lot of we go to estate sales and stuff.
Yeah.
And when you go to some of these
Mustard yellow
older
is what I
houses,
think of.
the mustard yellows, those pea greens, the wood paneling, that's everywhere. It was very realistic. Like I got the vibe of what a remodeled
Would have
hotel may
probably
have looked
been
like
in the 60s.
in the 60s. Yeah.
And then I don't have any
cool.
context to what it should look like in the 30s, but maybe that's what it looked like. I'm sure he
Yeah.
did his research, so I don't doubt that is the case. But I don't know. I wanted to know, is the Grand Budapest Hotel a real thing? Is that a real place or no?
I don't think so.
It's not based on any sort of historical building.
I mean, I'm sure it might be based on like an accumulation of different historical hotels.
Yeah,
around the world.
that sounds
I don't
like
know,
that could totally be the case. But yeah, I don't think it's real.
ChatGPT.
Dude, ask. It would be
The
better
Grand
than us
Budapest
looking.
Hotel is fictional and not based on a real hotel. Okay.
There you go.
Wow, it was worth a shot. So, anyways, I didn't hate it. That's really high praise.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the thumbnail. Didn't hate it.
Didn't hate this film, but I did, guys, see something I loved this week, and I don't think either of you got a chance to see it. But Godzilla Minus One came out. Have you seen this? Anyone?
I've not seen it yet, but I did catch a quick trailer in my YouTubing, and it was
What did you think?
it looks cool. I mean,
It is
I like I mentioned before, I try not to watch trailers because especially if something looks like something I might actually see. Like I don't mind whatever playing
So I
in the
won't
background.
over
of
the
it.
top spoil it for you then. But Carrie, you didn't.
Yeah, I was
see
gonna
it.
go see it, but I couldn't pay for it like a lot of modern movies, and I just wasn't able to get to the theater. But I'd seen the trailer
Like, you
too. It's
didn't
all
have the money
subtitled,
to pay
right?
For it, you mean?
No, yes, I'm completely broke. I just didn't have the time to. I had other stuff I had to do. And
When you say you couldn't pay for it, you mean you didn't have 20?
did I say I couldn't pay for it? I meant
That's
like
what
I
you said.
couldn't. I meant like I couldn't go online and buy it. Like you can,
Stream.
like with a lot of. Yeah, I couldn't stream it. Sorry. I could afford the movie, yes. I couldn't stream it, and I wasn't able to get out of the house to go sit down for 2.5 hours to go watch it.
I
in
mean,
the
if you'd
theater,
woken
so.
up before 2 in the afternoon, you might.
Yes, but this is neither here nor there. Neither here nor there.
They don't play movies that early anyway.
They don't. There's like an 11:30 movie sometimes if it's
No,
big
so
enough.
yes, it is all subtitled. It's all in Japanese with English subtitles. It was made in Japan. It's cool. So I'm not gonna spoil much, but I'll say one of the things I loved about it was that it takes place right after World War II.
I had heard
And
about that, yeah.
During the recovery time after the whole Oppenheimer.
Isn't that like when Godzilla movies, I guess,
Started out probably around
started being good?
I-
And I think
I-
it was a response more or less. To,
Yes, I had watched something on YouTube like a couple weeks ago when I heard about this, and they were saying it was that Godzilla was like a response to the fears, I guess, at that time after the nuclear explosion.
Yeah,
about
that's what I
radiation
heard
causing
as
Yeah,
well.
radiation and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
A super ocean monster from radiation. But anyways, I thought it was cool because, I kept complaining about Oppenheimer not having enough of the aftermath in Japan. This
Not
had what I was
enough
looking for.
giant lizards.
This had what I was looking for. It had
filled the
Japan
void.
trying to recover. It had people struggling, trying to rebuild after this crazy thing happens. It had the obvious, mutated dinosaur thingy attacking the city. Like, this is what I wanted in life. And
Pacific Rim-esque kind of.
You know what it was? It was like, it was just a movie that was made to be something that was
Just
fun
kind
to
of
watch.
honest.
Yeah, an honest, fun movie that wasn't up its own butt, wasn't all, Hollywood's
Not
kind of
even
up
around
its
the
own
corner.
butt nowadays, So it was really just like, let's just make a movie.
Yeah, again, like,
that
weren't we
wanna
talking
watch.
before about how, like the Maverick effect?
Yes,
it's like just
yes.
straight playing it straight movies. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of refreshing because they just
It
aren't.
is. They don't
You
do that
don't see them everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, I guess, this would be proof that you could have like a play it straight, honest movie that still has like an insane premise, right? That there's this mutated giant lizard attacking a town, but there's
Yeah,
still
we can
like,
still buy into it. Yeah, like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, and this movie is like super low budget, $15 million budget, okay, on this movie. And they even were saying, I saw something where the guy is making it say 15 million is an overestimate. I wish we had 15 million to make this. So it might not have even been a $15 million budget. And it was
That's
like,
cool.
I think it was like number 1 at the box office or number 2 at the box office this last weekend or something like that.
Wow.
They opened
Good for
it there.
them.
They opened it in a tiny amount of theaters, but so many people went
Okay.
and saw it that they expanded it. And
Oh, man.
they've been taking away Miss Marvel, the new Marvel movie, and
Wow.
putting this
Oh,
in its
wow.
place.
gosh, that's
Which is
like
so
some sort
exciting.
of
Yeah,
That's
you're
kind
just,
of a
like,
real-
trying to appeal to me.
real telling
Yeah.
aspect of modern day cinema. People want like that real, authentic, honest movie right now. That's, I mean,
They're
that's
done, yeah, they're done
That's
with
awesome.
the Marvel rehash of the same story for the 15.
and and it's not even like it's not even
Multiverse.
it's not even like that couldn't work. It's just not working in the way that they're doing it now. I mean, it could be about anything they want. It just has to be honest and more grounded in a lot of ways, and
Yeah.
and for it to work,
Yeah.
I think.
I
Yeah, so
agree. I think
I
people are
just
starting
thought-
to tire of that.
I love the story of it. I love the story. And so this weekend, I think the box office, the number 1 was from Studio Ghibli. It's the
Oh, wow.
newest Studio Ghibli joint, Nero or something. I don't know if
Is
you've
that what
seen
they're
the
calling
trailer
him
for
now? The latest Studio Ghibli joint.
That's right. That's what they call it. So that was number 1. The Boy in Huron is what it's called.
Oh,
it was
there we
number
go.
1. And it was 70 million, I think it brought in or something like that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, no, or 70, 70 million, I think. It's some crazy number.
That's insane.
And then it was the Hunger Games, and then right below that was this thinking...
Dude, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. That shows
It's
that gives
cool.
me hope.
Competition.
That
Honestly,
is really
for
cool.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is what
That's
we want
awesome.
to see, because like Hollywood just thinks they own the market, and I love to see
I
some
think-
competition. It's good for everyone.
I think
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I think I saw Tarantino in some interview talking about that, where he was just saying, like, I think in a response maybe to, he's talking about, well, what do you think about the movies these days or whatever? And he's like, hey, it'll. There have been
adjust.
times in the past where movies have kind of just gotten silly everywhere. Everyone was doing the same silly thing, and that kind of causes people to say, "Hey, we need to do something about it." And
There's-
it creates the kind of awakening out of
There's
it, and that's
typically-
when you get like the really good stuff. Often,
Hollywood responds to success typically, and then they definitely milked this Marvel superhero thing, which I think started when we were teenagers, like when Lord of the Rings came out, and when
Iron
the
Man.
original X-Men and Spider-Man, the original one, came out.
Right. Their
I mean,
investments are starting to, dwindle with that. It's like the earnings aren't what they used to
But
be.
I kind of
and,
think
yeah,
of
it
the
causes
era
this
before
kinda
that.
shift.
I was talking to Dawn about going and seeing Fight Club because she'd never seen Fight Club, which was a pretty big movie. I don't know how much it made in the theaters in the late 90s, but like it was very
Yeah, it was
story driven, whether
pretty
you
big.
like the story or not. And then all these big blockbusters started, and then we've kind of been on a 20-year cycle of it just getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And then the stories kind of just losing their heart along the way, it seems, for most of them.
the stories are so bad. There's so many
They're just
horrible
lazy.
stories. Yeah.
I think any of these particular characters could work if there was just a little bit more heart and attention paid to the stories. Like Oppenheimer is surprising to me. You didn't love it, but it's one of the biggest grossing movies this year. Like top 10, like 5 or 6. It made like $600-700 million, and it's about like a guy trying to create the atom bomb. On paper, does not sound like a blockbuster. I mean, They definitely
Right.
made a beautiful movie. The trailer and the marketing was on point. Barbie helped a lot with that, honestly.
951 million.
But it does not on paper seem like a $900 million blockbuster, though.
Yeah, that's true.
No,
You know?
no,
It beat
you're
Guardians of the
absolutely right.
Galaxy 3.
That's insane, right?
It beat best movie.
But what does that
Fast
say? It's like
10.
people want a compelling story. People want compelling stories that mean something. I mean, and it had a lot of gravitas to it, and there was money behind it, obviously.
I totally agree, but there is still 700 million people or dollars worth of people that want to see no story in Fast 10.
That's well. We could all agree that
Opposite.
Fast and the Furious is about family, and
true.
it's about family.
Family is.
That's one thing I learned, and it's outrunning. At this point, last time I checked in, they're trying to outrun a dam. Am I correct? The dam is breaking.
Yes. And not Paul Walker. Vin Diesel now has a brother. It's all about
Yes.
family.
Oh, yeah,
but
John
here's a
Cena.
Surprise brother. 10 years
Surprise
later.
brother, I didn't. Let's introduce him, and then let's kill him off immediately. We should just get into Fast 10.
That's it wasn't good. They took Merritt. In one of the Fast movies, who was it? Tyrese went to the moon in a car.
No, it was Ludacris. Ludacris was in space, dude.
Wow.
Do you remember the quaint movies when we were in high school where it was just about let's go drag racing and listen to cool music and just be awesome? And now now it's G.I. Joe's in space. It's basically went through that whole the whole thing that we were talking about in the last 20 years. Fast and Furious is a great explanation of what happened in the last 20 years of cinema. It really is.
It actually
Track
is a
it,
good point.
yeah.
It is actually. It's like a direct
Exactly,
because
'cause
it's
it's-
happened.
really
the next
is.
one is going to be Godzilla attacking cars, I think.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm excited to see this. I definitely will go see the Godzilla. I'm probably going to wait till I can order it, though.
I want to give my pitch for it because Kerry said he's going to wait till he can stream it, and I think you kind of need to see it in the theater because it's a spectacle, right? It's Godzilla. It's something to see on the big screen, in my opinion, and I also think just for if you like these unique and interesting movies, supporting it financially. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, I was just about to
Not
say
a
that's
bad
kind of like feels like part of it. The fact that it's
Yeah.
broken out of this like initial
limited
small
run.
run that they weren't
Yeah.
expecting. Yeah, like that's just so cool. I
They
wanna
added it to my
help
talents.
that
Yeah, exactly.
wave. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
it's
will-
definitely playing all over Vegas. I looked this week, and I could have
everywhere now.
definitely
it's
went.
in my theater,
Yeah.
which never has small releases. So like,
That's really
I
cool.
don't know. So I will also say this: like, it's not completely unique new ideas, but it's
No
a
way,
good
no way.
story.
Yeah.
It's well written. It's interesting. It doesn't do so much of like the. It somehow had better special effects than the latest Marvel movies I've seen, like Ant-Man.
I
and
think
the
I
Wasp.
saw like a GIF or something from it, and it was like, whoa! Like, wasn't the Godzilla like chasing a boat or something in the
Yeah.
water? He's like
The
behind
water
it.
scenes
It
are
looked
insanely
awesome.
good. I'm like, holy
Yeah.
There's some
What do
scenes
you
that are
think-
good, like the planes. The planes don't look super realistic, but other than
Mm.
that, like they are solid special effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys knowing a little bit, understanding the back end of that kind of stuff more than I do. What accounts for that? I know that the Marvel
the
people
video
are
walls.
rushed. They're rushed to have to do the CGI, I imagine, to put out these movies.
I honestly, Barrett, think even though in Mandalorian 1 they use those video walls, right? What is that thing
Mm.
called? And it
Virtual production.
virtual
You know.
production, right? It's basically, Carrie, they're surrounded by giant screens that are like high resolution, and instead of like green screens, like literally the scene is showing up on these screens behind you, and they're so good
Oh,
that
wow.
they look real. But there's some moments where they don't look great. I feel like people are maybe
Agreed.
overusing that.
They overuse it, yeah, because there's definitely specific circumstances where they do well, and there's a lot where they do not do well. Like you can't do it. You can, but like not very well. You could do a daylight scene where you're supposed to have just like sunlight hitting the characters. Like the problem is the displays are nowhere near as bright as like an actual daylight scene. Right. And so you would have to bring in, very bright lights, but then the background doesn't match. And it would be very localized kind of thing. So what you'll find, at least the, very well artistically, driven kind of stuff. I would say The Mandalorian had really great art direction,
They did a really
very
good
good
job.
planning all the way through, and so you see it in the result of them, having planned to do those kinds of scenes in like evening, like magic hour time, where the sun is over the edge there, and so you're not really getting sunlight on the face so much. It's more just the ambience of the of like a blue, blue sky kind of evening, and so you'll see that ending up lighting their face, and those scenes look incredible. Just because they know where to.
It was a new technology, and they were being very careful in Mandalorian
right,
to make sure they did it right.
And a lot of other people are kind of just like, this new tech, let's use it for everything.
We met that guy in Georgia who was like that. Oh, let's use it for everything, right? And he was like spinning up virtual production for everyone, and they're like, oh, we can do this for way cheaper if we just use one of these.
Yeah.
And they didn't actually think about how to do it well. They just said, oh, we can do it, let's do it. And
so basically, it would allow them to do all sorts of outdoor scenes
without
and stuff
traveling
in a studio.
in one studio, one spot. And
the amazing thing is, a movie we just watched, the 2001 Space Odyssey, I mean, that's probably the first example, or one of the first examples of it, certainly of that, well
that
done,
idea.
of virtual production. But I mean, that's a projected backdrop, and they really made those scenes actually look like daytime, which is actually, considering all of that, that's amazing. And the amount of lights that they must have had to had on that
fake
scene.
moon landing looked so real. Like,
No, they staged the moon landing. Seriously.
I still say that Space
Perfectly.
Odyssey convinced me that the moon landing was fake. I was like, oh yeah, that whole thing was fake.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
that and the flat Earth. I believe in both of them, 100%.
Man.
So, okay, so I saw a good example of crappy video wall use. I think, I don't know for sure they used the video wall, but the way it looked so much like a video wall to me. I watched this, speaking of trending movies, I'm on a trending movie kick. There's this new trending movie on Netflix about the end of the world. Have you heard about this? With,
Yes, I watched that. Yes.
What's her name? It's not
if
Jennifer,
you leave,
it's not Sandra Bullock. It's
it's
the other one.
Julia Roberts and
Julia
Ethan
Roberts,
Hawke. I watched it, yeah. What is it?
So,
Leave the World Behind or something?
That scene where the boat is like coming up on the beach looks
Yes.
so crappy. So crappy. And I've seen boats come up on a beach and get beached before really well done, and this is like horribly done. You watch and you're like, oh, that's a video wall just poorly used.
See, I didn't.
In the daylight, Barrett. Like,
As a
yeah.
noob, I had no clue that. I mean, like, I didn't perceive anything, to be honest.
Like I would, this is probably not how it actually happened, but it's how it could have happened, I guess. Like, for example, someone like David Fincher, if he was directing that scene, is just so particular about everything. He would like figure out exactly how this is supposed to look, do all the research, like look up videos of, beaching ships, like when they're being scrapped or whatever, to just like get every detail right, and so that he's able to tell everyone exactly what to do to make that happen. But if if a director, or probably more likely like a conglomeration, sort of thing.
Sam Esmail did it. Is the one
Okay, I feel like I have heard that
He's
name.
known for Mr. Robot,
Okay.
the TV show. Yeah, so.
Yeah. But if it's the case where it's like driven more or less by like a lot of various people, like maybe you just don't have that central person who's just saying this is how it needs to look, like focus on this way it should look. Like I think when you get those cheaper movies that have that kind of like really impressive CG stuff, I think a lot of the time it's the result of like a just really good creative direction, probably from the director. There's remember
a few
Cloverfield?
times.
Like remember how
Yeah.
good the CG
Yeah.
was in that? Like that was like a 15 million or
Oh,
something like that, 30 million, whatever movie, and it was like
I just-
fantastic CG.
I mean, I know you guys are explaining this to me, but how do they do that with $15 million? Like, how? If they don't have the money to properly create everything, how do they get around it? Like, it's all
I guess,
about timing
again,
and lighting and...
like good, visual effects people, they'll I guess the more experienced they are, the more that they know what they don't need. I guess like if you're on a big budget Marvel movie, they probably just have like, what is every possible thing you could have out here?
Buy everything.
They buy everything that could help me. We'll get 3D scanners. We'll just scan all this stuff. Maybe we won't need it, but we'll just have it. We'll
Throw
store it.
money at it.
Again, I'm just making things up here, but I'm sort of guessing like that. That's probably you know, how that goes. Whereas like someone who's got the experience, you know, a director who's like, you know, like Peter Jackson, for example, like he did all of the special effects of his old movies, and so he had all this knowledge that he could carry forward to be able to say, we're not going to need all this extra stuff.
Did he not do like a lot of practical? I mean, like he was in New Zealand.
He did a lot of practical stuff,
and built sets, I'd imagine, and a lot of it was
lots
fairly
of miniatures,
practical,
right? Yeah, quite a bit, yeah. But a lot of like, you know, the sort of like crowd stuff, where they're all running, and that's, you know, a lot of CG as well.
So
but
there
was a very clever
were
mix,
not thousands of orcs. That was fake.
Listen,
dang it.
Behind the movie on Netflix, like I am being very nitpicky, fussing about the CGI stuff because I'm familiar with what it looks like and I know what it looks like, and so like there's moments where there's like a disaster happening and they're looking at it and I'm like, they're just looking at a video wall. Like I can literally tell that's a video wall. So, but Carrie didn't even notice it, right? So it's still fine for most people. I'm just a bit of a snob, but in general, Barrett, that movie is not terrible. You probably hate it. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I can never judge whether you'd hate it. What did you think of the movie, Carrie, Leave the World Behind? It's trending. We can talk about it.
Yes, I liked the premise, and I felt like it didn't deliver on what it could have been, if that makes sense. I feel like I was I feel like I was confused a little bit about where it was going and what was happening for too long. Like I feel like it kind of tied it in a little bit at the end. And there was some really interesting cinematography, albeit CGI, like when they were finally, you know, I guess spoilers, they're finally attacking and blowing up like New York City, I guess that was. That was very, to me, I was like, oh, whoa, you know, now it's going down, because before then you weren't 100% sure what exactly was happening. You had clues, but I thought it was really interesting. It was a little red.
You know what it was? The clues, like not knowing was a waste of my energy and time. Like it didn't really add anything. That's the bigger problem, is like they could have told us more and it wouldn't have made the movie worse, and we would have enjoyed it more if they had told us a little more sooner.
I've seen this style of movie more entertaining in the past. I'm a huge fan of Red Dawn. Just like the whole premise, and it's much more, you know, like getting right into the action. They're paratrooping into town and then you have to deal with them, right? But like it's a basic same thing, except this is in the modern day with technology being a big part of it. But I found it very fascinating, like the forms, I guess, of warfare, quote unquote, they would use, you know, the noise, the radiation. Seems much more realistic probably to what would happen if something like this were to ever happen.
I wanted to finish it. I wanted to see what happened. Basically, you know, quick summary without spoiling it. All of a sudden, Barrett, all signal is gone. Wi-Fi, cell phone, which is a straight up fear of mine. So that struck a chord instantly. Like, I was dropping my kid
solar
off the
flare
day.
Maybe, and
I was dropping my kid off the other day at the church, and there was no signal at all on any of our phones, right? In this whole area for like 2 hours, I could not get a signal on my phone. I was kind of freaking out. And so this movie kind of preys on that fear. We're all addicted to technology.
It is interesting because it's a fear we wouldn't have had 10, 15 years ago. Even 10 years ago.
It's such a time, like it had, time-based movie.
There's this moment where the guy's trying to get to town, which is just right. He just drove through the town yesterday, and his GPS isn't working. He can't find it. And this is me. Like, I have done videos of myself freaking out because my GPS doesn't work. I'm lost forever. I'm going to die. I'm like in a populous area, but I'm convinced I'm gonna die because there's no signal. And when me and my wife like drive up to her family in West Virginia, there's sections where the GPS goes out on my phone. I have panic, like serious panic. Like, holy crap, what do we even do if our car breaks down right now? We will all die. In my brain, we will all die. So like this movie, this idea definitely hits on a fear of mine, and a new fear within the last 10 years.
Congratulations, Dave.
Yeah.
You've unlocked a new fear.
But I think that if you can make a movie that so directly hits on something that is affecting people, then it's a good premise. It's a good premise.
Yeah, totally.
And so I liked that about it, and I like to see people's reactions to not knowing what's happening. I totally get why they did that. Just some of the stuff that like they tried to make a big deal about, like the animal behavior, I just found boring. I didn't care about the deer acting weird. Like, why are the deer?
And I think I was on Reddit afterwards after watching it, and people were kind of comparing a little bit of this to like a M. Night Shyamalan movie. The deer part in particular,
the happening,
the deer
right.
part in particular, like that had a weird, odd, off-putting, creepy vibe to it, which I don't know if it served the movie. Yeah, but like I didn't feel like this was the movie that needed that. It doesn't need to have like a scary movie vibe on top of being an end of the world type movie or whatever. Because there was a good portion of the movie that didn't even feel like an end of the world movie. Like it just had like a lot of different vibes to it at once, and I felt like it didn't stick in a lane hard enough, if that makes sense. And it made it confusing, more confusing than it needed to be, and not as good as it could have been, I guess. I don't know how to explain it exactly. But
Godzilla Minus one, better film.
Yeah, much simpler, I'm sure, in premise, too.
I mean, I'll say this. I watched that movie, Leave the World
I
Behind.
definitely watch it if you haven't watched it.
And tonight, when I was coming down to record this, Tina's like, is there anything good I should watch on TV? I said, watch this. I watched it last night. You'll probably like it. Like, so it was not a bad movie. It was like a 7.5 out of 10. Like, it was an interesting premise. The acting
and Dave,
was good.
You know this, Dave. You know this. It's not the thing I'd recommend on Netflix right now, and I'm sure you don't want to talk about it.
Let's talk about this garbage.
The Squid Game show. Have you seen this, Barrett? The Squid Game game show.
No.
Reality show.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we talked about it a bit. I was turned away from by Mr. Beast.
No,
of course,
I still think you'd like the original Squid Game, the Korean one that's in Korean.
I
we
could
did
see
talk about
enjoying
this.
that.
That's my memory forgetting right there.
But Carrie convinced me to try to watch a reality show, and I'm not really into reality TV like that at all. Like maybe Storage Wars or that sort of stuff I'll watch, but I'm not really into like the competition game show. And I really I got sucked in. So I hated the first 35 minutes. Then I finally got sucked in by some cliffhangers. Right? They got me like 3 times. And then they kind of had this little period where the show wasn't out, and they had to wait for the last episodes. By the time it came back for the last episodes, I actively hated it. I don't know. I just had built up a hate for it. So I'm going in and watching it, and like the second to last episode, it's now all new people that they've never showed before because everyone else got eliminated, and they didn't do a good job of like introducing the
especially the dude with the beard. He like was barely mentioned right before.
Until like the second to last episode, and it's like, okay, listen, you know who's gonna be in like the top 30. Maybe feature them a little more often, so by the end of the show, everyone we like isn't gone. And you have to make us try to fall in love with new characters.
Well, I understand that they have to. I understand that editing-wise, they have to make us fall in love with people that are going to be eliminated every episode.
Also make me fall in love with the actual people that can win. Although I didn't fall in love. I really found most of the people unlikable. I'm not sure where they pulled the casting from, but the vast majority of the characters, I was like, I don't like any of these people. Like, I don't want to be friends with.
How would you approach this, Dave?
People
if you were
who
in
want
this?
to participate in reality television.
Yeah, that is true. That's a big prerequisite. You have to be willing to not work for a certain amount of time and just be on a reality show.
TV show. Yeah,
and basically tortured. Yeah, that is a certain subset of people. That's for sure.
I just thought it was so dumb. And Barrett, the whole premise is like the winner gets $456 million. Okay, second place gets nothing.
4.56, which is a little less. Yeah.
4.56 million, whatever. But basically, everyone wins nothing except for the first place person. I would never be on a show because of my fear of getting in second place. I would be suicidal after getting in second place.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
How
right.
do you live
right.
after that?
Do you know how devastating? Like that last episode, which I guess we can spoil,
I skipped
right?
through it. I fast forwarded through it. And just
So
saw
the last episode, there
was
was 3 letters. It was a complete chance elimination. That was the thing. No skill involved. Complete chance. So people who had gone through 453 different eliminations, people eliminated 453 times. Last 3 people, the third person that was, the third to last person eliminated, complete chance. Nothing they could have done. Nothing. I guess they could have not made a choice, but like it was complete chance, and they'd gotten that far, and then they won nothing. I feel like at the end, everybody should have been like, we're just going to split it, and it don't matter. But they wouldn't allow that.
Exactly.
Well, and I actually didn't like, there's many moments where they decided to, I don't want to talk about the show, guys. I hate it.
Okay.
I hate it. Let's not talk about it. Let's talk about what we're going to review next week. Do not waste your time on that garbage. Do not
Watch
do
it. Watch it.
Do not do it.
100% should watch it.
I won't. I will follow your advice, Dave.
Support the original Squid Games, not.
Oh, yeah. I can't. Well, I mean, it's just something to hold you over until the season 2.
Okay. Okay, let's see here. We're gonna pick our next movie. We're gonna have ChatGPT pick our next movie. Okay, so what should we say? Should we guide it? I would like to, if you'll allow me. I want to ask it for an obscure movie it doesn't think any of us would have seen. But that's also
I was just about to suggest the same. Yeah, like I would like it if none of us have seen the next film that we
Yeah, I'm down.
pick. Yeah.
I like that because it's still Chat GPT choosing, but we can give it some, premises to work with if we want.
it's something.
Dude, what if it's something we can't get? Like we have to go to like some VHS store in like
That'd be awesome.
Portland.
Okay, I said, can you pick a new movie for us? We want it to be super obscure. Please try to make it something none of us have ever seen. Okay, here we go. Ooh, I'm nervous.
As if it knows
I'm
what we've
physically,
seen.
like-
This is going to be
Okay.
crazy.
All right, please be good, ChatGPT. Don't fail me.
Eraserhead.
Eraserhead by David Lynch. Have you seen it?
Okay, I've
Oh.
not seen
I
Eraserhead.
haven't seen Eraserhead.
I've heard of it, so it's going to be something we can find at least.
Eraserhead is a highly unusual and surreal film that marked the directorial debut of David Lynch. It's a cult classic known for its enigmatic and unsettling narrative, dreamlike sequences, and distinctive visual style.
Hate to be the bearer of bad news, David. You're gonna. I don't think you're gonna.
Oh, weird.
You haven't. You've seen Mulholland Drive?
Yeah.
Weren't we
that
talking
was
about that?
weird. That was a freaking weird movie. Was he the one who did that?
David Lynch. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. All right, well, we're gonna watch Eraserhead for the next week, guys.
I'm excited.
There we go.
Oh, yeah,
I've-
it's,
yeah,
it's
I've always
a
wanted to watch
body horror
Eraserhead.
film. It's an American surrealist body horror film.
Great.
Oh,
That's all-
Okay.
This is good.
He also created its score and sound design, which included pieces by a variety of other music. Oh, it's shot in
Oh,
black
really?
and white. Interesting.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so Eraserhead, guys, if you want to follow along, we're going to try to figure out what this movie is. Can we find out where it streams?
Yeah. We
I
got to
don't know.
send
Chat
people
GPT.
somewhere, right?
Oh, Max.
Where
It's
can-
on Max. It's on HBO
It's on
Max,
Max.
which I do
Max,
have.
there
Okay.
we go.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can rent it on YouTube for $3. Yeah, it's on YouTube for $3.
Yeah, that's right. There are a lot of. Yeah.
Budget of
get it on YouTube.
$100,000
In 1977, though.
in 97, but box office was 7.1 million. So I'm not even gonna watch a trailer. I'm just gonna go for it.
No, I'm going in. I mean, I know the hair. I know
I just
vaguely
thought
that
it
it
was
was black
gonna-
and white, and
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it'll be cool.
feels like
blind,
it's gonna.
yeah.
It says unsettling body horror. I feel like I'm gonna get anxious watching this, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not super
That's what
keen
we
on
need.
that sort of thing.
That's gonna be. It's
Yeah.
gonna be like a low budget Saw, basically in black and white.
All right, this was the episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe. Tell your friends who love movies, and make sure you click every episode. Bye bye.